those of you who are unfamiliar with the series, basically I put myself in the shoes of a particular manager, and then with the help of a website called Foothead, I show to you the team I would play, the starting 11 I would field, as well as, the bench and other players I would consider. And as you can tell by the title, this week I am getting into the role of the France manager. I think I had a request or two to do France, so I thought they're a great team, so why not do that? Now, the fact they are such a great team, I'm going to say this now, it was massively difficult, and you'll probably notice throughout this video I will repeatedly emphasise, so for example I might have picked a certain centre mid and then I'll be like, oh, but it could have been this person, oh, it could actually be this person, oh, I'd be happy if it was this person. Either way, because there are so many top quality French players, it's kind of ridiculous. So it was massively difficult to do. So there's going to be probably quite a lot of controversial decisions, because it's literally just my personal viewpoint. I've written down a few statistics and stuff, but literally it's my personal preference. So what I ask of you guys is to, rather than completely destroy me in the comments, but leave your teams down below, because I'm actually genuinely interested in the players you'd consider and the team you'd play, etc. The response I got on the previous If I Was video was really positive, so I thank everyone for that. And I think it is a series I'd like to continue doing. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, I am thinking about doing it with Premier League teams. Somebody commented, again, sorry I don't know your name, but you know who you are. Somebody commented I should do each of the Premier League teams. Now, 20 teams is quite a lot, and to be honest, with my sort of uploading schedule and plans, I probably wouldn't do that, soon. So what I think I might do is just do the top, I don't know if I should do the top 10 or just sort of top 7, but I might do the top teams, and then we'll see how we do. And then after that, after we've done the Premier League teams, we can go to purely requests and stuff, and you guys can comment what teams you want me to cover, what nations, etc. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I was just letting you know the plans for this series. Anyways, without further ado, let's stop delaying and get straight in with the team. So we're going to start off with the goalkeeper, which was probably the easiest decision, and I'm not really going to talk much about him because I don't think he really needs much justification, and it is of course Tottenham Hotspur's Hugo Lloris. There's no doubt he's a top quality player. He's up there with the very best in the Premier League, along with the likes of De Gea, Courtois, Cech. And to be honest, there's no one really in the same bracket as him as of now. As I've included a second keeper who I'll talk a little bit about later, but Lloris, no one is challenging him at the minute, I don't think. So yeah, I'll just go straight on to the right back, and I have gone with Bakary Sagna. Obviously he doesn't have that consistent of a starting spot for Manchester City, having to contend with Pablo Zabaleta, but Sagna seems to play a fair amount for France, and he's actually very good for France for some reason, and I actually still rate him as a right back. To be fair, I think he should be playing above Zabaleta, but maybe that's a discussion for another video. But impressive, to be fair. And I remember him actually playing pretty well at this year, 2016 Euros. I honestly think he's France's best right back at the minute, unless I've forgotten anybody, but I don't think I have, but I've forgotten who I've included on my bench and reserve, so I could be wrong. Anyway, we'll move on to the two centre-backs, and this wasn't too hard, although, as I'll discuss later, there are a few players who are sort of on the rise, or, if fully fit, could maybe challenge. That's another thing, guys. If you're new to the series, I pick these teams assuming that every single player available is fully fit, not injured, injury-free. Okay. Anyway, my first centre-back is going to be Rafael Varane, obviously of Real Madrid. Now, Varane this season has started 18 games for Real Madrid, and he scored 3 goals. 3 goals for a centre-back is pretty impressive. He's only 23 years of age, so plenty of room for improvement. He always seems to get linked with a move to United, or just away from Real Madrid in general. But there's no doubt he's already a top player. He's pretty fast, he's strong, he's brilliant in the air, and I honestly think he's a great centre-back. That was a pretty easy choice for me. And then the second centre-back, which too wasn't massively difficult, is Laurent Koscielny. Koscielny has played 19 out of Arsenal's 20 Premier League games this season, scoring 2 goals. And he also played all 7 of France's games at the European Championships. I just think Koscielny's just consistently quality. I think he's just a very consistent player. He just does his job. He's great carrying the ball forward. You wouldn't think he'd be the strongest, but he's great in the air, and he has a bit of pace about him, to be fair. I think he's a top centre back. But yeah, he always just seems to. I don't think he really has a really bad game ever. And he looks just as good for France as he does for Arsenal, so he goes straight in my team. Now left back was really difficult, and the player I'm going to pick probably isn't that obvious, but it is PSG's Kurzawa. Now, Evra seems to play the most and more regularly for France at this moment in time, but from what I saw at the Euros and games since, I don't think Evra is the same player he was, and I notice he dive into challenges and make just stupid and sort of reckless decisions, and I just saw him as a bit of a liability. It's almost as if he feels he has to make these amazing slide tackles to prove he's still great, when really he could just stay on his feet and do his job better. But maybe I'm looking at that wrong, but again, like I said, just my personal opinion. But anyway, Kurzawa, let's have a look. What have I written here? PSG. I think I've written down this season he's played 10 Ligue 1 matches, scoring 2 goals and getting 2 assists. That's really impressive. Well, one thing about Kurzawa is he really likes to get forward, and he's actually a great finisher of the ball. And in the one France friendly he's played this year, he scored a goal. Now, he doesn't play that consistently for PSG, as he's always in competition for the left back spot with Maxwell, the Brazilian left back. But I've seen both play a fair bit, and I think Kurzawa's far better. Now, as I'll talk about later, there are, a range of left backs France could pick, but I will get into that later. But I honestly think, from what I've seen, Kurzawa is France's best option, and I'm not too sure why he doesn't play more. But yeah, he's a quality player, I think. centre defensive mid is probably a given, and it's Paul Pogba. Obviously the world's most expensive player, costing £89 million, and he hasn't been amazing, he hasn't been bad for United, but obviously if he's not up there in the top of the assists or goals, etc., he's going to come under criticism because of his large price tag. Nonetheless, he scored 4 goals in all competitions this season. Where are we? 4 goals and 3 assists this season, and he's only just really started hitting some good form. But for France, he's he's more consistent. I think he started 6 of France's games at the Euros and scored the 1 goal. But I don't think I really need to talk much about Paul Pogba. He's a very powerful player, and the reason I'd play him in centre defensive mid, as opposed to attacking mid, is because of, firstly, because of his physical attributes and his defending ability, but secondly, playing in a more holding role means he has more space and more pitch in front of him to run in, and that's a key feature of his game. He getting the ball into his feet, and then driving towards the opposition goal. In attacking mid, maybe doesn't have that much space, but he does have the trickery to play in that role. Like I said, it's massively difficult to pick where to play, but it's just personally, if I was the manager, I'd have him in more of a holding role. Now, I wouldn't emphasise the defending on Pogba because of my second centre defensive mid choice, and from saying that you can probably guess it is Chelsea's N'Golo Kante. Obviously he won the Premier League last season with Leicester, and it looks like he could get his second Premier League medal in only his second year in the league, which would be amazing. And I just think he's amazing. He was my favourite player last season, because whenever I play, I'm a centre mid myself, and just the way, the ground he covers, the interceptions he makes, the tackles he makes, is just crazy. His passing's good as well. I think having a player like Kante, who does such a good defensive job, allows other players to play in a certain way. They know they can, maybe take on a man, or play a more audacious pass, or attack more, because they know they've got the rock that is N'Golo Kante sweeping up behind them. He's not renowned for his goal scoring, but this season alone he averages 3 interceptions a game, over 3 tackles a game. There's no doubt he's a top quality defensive midfield player, and he'd go straight in my team. So yeah, now we're just going to move on to the left mid, and that is going to be Dimitri Payet. There's been a lot of controversy with Dimitri Payet recently, as he said he doesn't want to play for West Ham, but Bilic says he doesn't want to sell him, so I don't really know what's going to happen there. I can see him moving to another Premier League team, if I'm honest, or to PSG, back to France, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But nonetheless, for France, he's a top performer. For me, he was my player of the tournament, if I'm honest. And at the Euros, he got 3 goals and 2 assists, including, I think it was 2 screamers, to be fair. But I remember one of them wasn't such a good strike, absolutely incredible. Now, Dimitri Payet, his trickery is amazing. He's not the fastest player, but you just get the feeling whenever he picks up the ball, he's going to do something with it. He's going to create something. He's going to bang a goal from like 25 yards. Like, he's got that all in his locker. His free kicks are immense. His delivery from corners is impeccable. He could again play in the role behind the striker, in the attacking mid role, but you'll see why I haven't played him there when you see my choice for Cam. This season he's made 17 starts for West Ham, scoring 2 goals and getting 6 assists, and really him and Michail Antonio classes a game for West Ham. That's all I had written down. I don't know why I highlighted that. But yeah, his trickery and his flair. You'd want it in any team, so he'll be in my left mid spot if I was the France manager. Now we move on to right mid, and you might not have expected this one, because to a lot of football fans, he might not be not that well known to many, and that is Borussia Dortmund's Ousmane Dembele. Dembele has been having a phenomenal season, and he's only 19 years old. So some may argue he's not old enough. Yeah, he's not ready. But you look at what he's doing in the Bundesliga, which is still a top league. It's still a tough league. It's phenomenal. This season he's got 15 Dortmund appearances, scoring 4 goals and getting 7 assists. That's just in the league. And then in 6 Champions League games, he scored 1 goal and got 5 assists. So he averages being involved in a game, being involved in a goal, 1 a game, which is absolutely mad. And you watch him play, he's just a brilliant player, like Payet. He likes driving at defenders. When he gets the ball, you think, oh, what skill moves is he going to do? He's such a skillful player, pretty fast, not the strongest, but can still hold his own. And he's clinical. I think, despite being 19, he's ready for the big stage, and I think he did make his first France appearance this year, not 2017 obviously, but this season. But yeah, I think he's ready to make the step up and be a regular starter, purely based on what I've seen of him and of the outstanding performances he's been putting in for Borussia Dortmund. Now we move on to Cam, the attacking midfield spot, and I'm going to go as far and say he's probably the best player in the team, the player with the most quality. And it might shock you to hear that I'm going to play Antoine Griezmann in that Cam spot. Now at the Euros, he played all 7 games and scored 6 goals and got 2 assists, and that obviously got him the golden boot. The next closest was a load of players on 3 goals, so he got double that, which is brilliant. 6 and 7 on the big stage. He's just a class act, isn't he? And in 16 La Liga appearances this season, he's got 7 goals and 4 assists. And last season got 22 goals and 5 assists in La Liga alone. He's just a quality player. Now, the reason I play him in attack mid is because of all those assists. And I think, how do I try and explain this? I think he could have more of an impact on the game in an attack midfield role. Now, how I would approach it if I was the manager, this is getting a bit deep, but if I was the manager, I'd almost give him a free roaming role like Messi sort of does for Barcelona. I'd emphasise to him to stay up, so a lot of the time it would him be playing as a second striker with my other choice. So we go to like a 4-4-2. But he's just got the freedom to drop in, pick it up, run at defenders. I just think, yes, he's clinical. He's a phenomenal striker if you want to play him there. But I think he can have more of an impact on the game if he sits back a bit and is able to pick the ball up, pick passes, dribble forward, shoot from outside the box, etc. Because he's got all those qualities and attributes in his locker. So I personally would want a player like Griezmann to be as involved in the game as possible, because he is probably one of the best attacking players in the world at the minute, I would say. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you would rather play Griezmann as a striker or as a cam. Now finally, the final starting spot in my team, and it is of course striker, and I've gone with Lacazette, who obviously plays for Lyon. Now this season, he has scored 13 goals in Ligue 1 in 14 games. Now, it's a better league. Premier League is better than Liga. I've said it. And last season, Lacazette got 21 goals and 3 assists in 34 games. He's just so clinical. He's fast. He's strong. He wins headers. I just think he's a brilliant striker, and I think the combination with him and Griezmann, I'd be tempted to play Griezmann as a striker with him, but I think that combination would be absolutely fantastic. But yeah, not really much more to say about him. So, as I said, because of the vast array of talent and quality that France has in terms of players, it was hugely difficult to pick this 11. So what I've done is, rather than doing, this is my definite bench, this is my reserves, I'm going to fill out the bench and reserves with players who I probably would include on my bench and reserves, but also players who I want you to know I did consider and didn't neglect, so you don't slate me like, how could you leave out so-and-so, if you know what I mean. So, let's just have a look, if you bear with me a second, because I'm not actually looking at it on my laptop at the minute. I'm looking at the image on my phone, and I've got to find the right one. Here we are. So, with the goalkeeper, my sub-goalkeeper would probably be Areola of PSG. They signed him from, who was it? Was it Sevilla? I honestly can't remember. But he looks like a really promising young goalkeeper who seems to be doing okay, but PSG aren't the same team really without Ibrahimovic. But yeah, maybe Steve Mandanda, although he hasn't looked that sound for Crystal Palace. And also Ruffier is a shout as well, who plays for Saint Etienne. He's pretty consistent. So now we go on to the defenders. Now, on screen, I think I've only included Zuma, Umtiti and Laporte. All top quality centre backs. Now, I didn't include any left backs, but as I said, Evra's obviously going to be in contention, but I personally wouldn't play him because I think he's not the same. Lucas Digne of Barcelona has been playing in Alba's absence whenever Alba's not fully fit or injured, and he's got a case. He could go in there. Also, Sidibe of Monaco has been playing very well recently. Also, Carl Clichy, why not? But I don't think he plays enough for Man City, if I'm honest, because Howard doesn't play that much, so I'm being a bit hypocritical, but we'll move on. But I did consider those players, and they've all got a pretty decent case. But yeah, Laporte obviously plays for Athletic Bilbao. He's looked very good. He was linked with a move to Man City in the summer. And then Umtiti, who I'm not too sure how much game time he's going to get for Barcelona when Mascherano and Piqué are fully fit. But we'll see. So now we've got the midfielders. I've gone with Martial. I've gone with Ben Arfa, just for a bit of creative spark. And then I've got Nzonzi and Matuidi. Now, Matuidi is the one who arguably should or could play instead of Kante. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I'd say about certain players I'd be happy for them to play. And with Matuidi, I'd be happy for him to play instead of Kante. But it's just personally, if I had to pick, I'd pick N'Golo Kante. But Matuidi's a class player, and he's a good performer for France, which is important. I've also thrown in there Monaco's Lamar, who's been having a great season so far this year. He could maybe have a case to get into the squad, who knows. Now, I haven't put the likes of Kingsley Coman and Benzema on here, purely because I couldn't fit them on, but I have considered them. And then for my strikers, I've thrown in Gamero, who has been starting, I think, up front a lot for France recently. I could be wrong. Giroud would be nowhere near my team. Sorry. Gignac would be nowhere near my team. because it gives you a different dimension if you need to lump it up to them in like the dying minutes of the game. But as you can see there, I've included Ben Yedder, who is having a great season. He scored a hat-trick for Sevilla a few games ago. But yeah, he's playing brilliantly, a really tricky little player. And then I've thrown in player who has been Nice's striker. Nice obviously, I think they're second in the league. They might still be top, I'm not sure. But players having a great season like Lamar, players who sort of have risen up. So yeah, that pretty much brings it to an end. That is my team if I was the France manager. So yeah, as I said, let me know what team you'd play down below if you were the France manager. And I hope I haven't, sparked too much controversy, but obviously you can understand it's massively difficult to pick a starting 11 because France have so many amazing players. I apologise if in parts in this video I spoke really, really quickly, but there's a lot to get in, so sometimes it was necessary. But anyway, guys, I really hope you did enjoy it. I hope you're enjoying the football uploads at the minute. If you did enjoy it, please go ahead and leave a like and do subscribe if you're new. And until the next ASMR football video, guys, please